You just pick up a tool cart and you want to find out better ways to organize it, or if you've had a tool cart and you want to find out better ways to organize it. On today's video, I want to show you guys the most efficient way to organize your tool cart. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. On today's video, I do want to go through my tool cart. I've done a review on my tool cart about 2 years ago. I've done some updates. I actually listened to you guys on some of your comments from that video. I'm a humble person, but it was my second biggest video I've ever made. So I thought making a recap to this with some of your guys' suggestions would be very helpful. And it was a learning experience for me, and I do appreciate that. So a quick background on me. I am just a car enthusiast and a automotive filmmaker. However, my professional career, my background is in engineering, and mostly in manufacturing. So I've been in the manufacturing industry for a little over 10 years now, and being in production, it really teaches you about how to be efficient. So over these 10 years, I've been in over 100 production facilities. When it comes to production, that is the bottom line. The companies are only making money from production, and when you go down, you have to be as efficient as possible. So naturally, I've become an efficiency freak, and I've kind of tied the two for automotive, working on your cars, working on stuff at home, whatever the case may be. Tied the two kind of together, and it's a reflection of my tool cart. In addition, I am very OCD, so I did want to utilize every kind of square inch of my tool cart in the most efficient manner. Also, everything that I do talk about in my tool cart, I will have linked in the description. I'll break it down per drawer, and so hopefully if there's something that you like, you can go ahead and grab it. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the top of the tool cart. So I did fit it with some workout mat material, and just kind of fit it to size. So if there's something I need to work on or anything like that, I'm not scratching the tool cart or anything like that. And if I want to drill, I have, half an inch or so to drill through. But this is just to really mainly to lay big parts on here if I'm assembling or disassembling something or unboxing something. I did get the side table. So if something is longer, if I want to lay it on there, but mainly this is here. So if I wanted to put like my iPad here, if I'm doing, kind of following through a DIY, that's really mainly what this side table is for. I'll kind of go through the outside first. So on this side, I have a couple hooks, and this is just to hold a lot of my Milwaukee tools. Behind me, I have them all kind of organized. So depending on the project, whatever I'm working on, I'm usually, using two of the impact or drivers, whatever the case may be, but I just use these hooks, and I've bolted these through and tied it on the other side so that it could stay fit and not move at all. So that's permanently there unless, you unscrew it. This is super easy to do. Extremely helpful. We'll dive in kind of when I open up the lid, what this side is for. But then on the back side, what I've done is these are paper towel holders from Harbor Freight. And what I've actually done is I just I separated them just because I didn't really have too much success with them as paper towel holders. So I have one for my earmuffs and then one for my ventilator. I did get a suggestion for that, to put it into a kind of like an air sealed, either a bag or a Tupperware, but I haven't done that. And if I'm not stealing Tupperware from my wife or my mom, I appreciate my life, so I'm not gonna do that. But I also have two Harbor Freight magnets here that I have. Breaker bar, torque wrench is always on the back. All right, so let's hop in the tool lid. So most of the projects that I work on are either my car, which is a Nissan GTR, or my wife just picked up a Kawasaki Ninja 250. So it's mainly, some bolt-on stuff here and there and maintenance work. But what I found most efficient is having this bay empty. I know a lot of people will put sockets in here, but I found that to be inefficient because if you're working on something, then you have to lift the lid to get your sockets. I just found that really annoying. So I kept this open so I can assemble, disassemble, keep bolts in, bolt trays, whatever the case may be. How sometimes you're working on a car, you're working on a project, anything like that, you have just like miscellaneous stuff that like you don't want to lose. And so then moving on to this left valley, what I've done is I've opened up a lot of these holes just because they're all pretty small. So have all my 1/2" stuff in here. So I have 3 1/2" ratchets. I have an extended Harbor Freight 1/2" ratchet with the swivel head. This is really nice. You know, it has really good leverage for a 1/2", and because it's an extended 1/2", on this bottom valley that's located as a support frame, I cut out another valley in there so that the wrench can go all the way through. I have 1/2". This is something I got from high school, a clutch 1/2" ratchet. And then this is my dad's old school Craftsman 1/2". And then what I've done here, in addition to my ratchets, I have all my extensions. So I have 3, 6, 9, and then I have a 3/8 ratchet here that's 18 inches long. And then on the side here, what I've done is to stay consistent with my 1/2" organization. I have, you know, my 1/2" lug nuts. I have a 1/2" swivel and a couple wobbles and a couple adapters as well for my 1/2" stuff. So I like to keep that organized. Underneath the lid, I have all these Carlisle box end swivel head wrench, and these things are absolutely GOAT status. Like, they're super, super durable. They're very strong. They're not a 12-point. The grip that they have on this won't round out a lot of the bolts. It really, really holds onto it pretty tight. And the nicest thing I like about these is that you can use this almost like a ratchet. I mean, it has the ratcheting mechanism inside. So you can use it as a ratchet, but really in low profile areas, right? So, you know, even when I'm changing my oil, I find myself that I'm going to these more so than my ratchets with my sockets. So to kind of counteract that, I got my stubbies. So if I'm in an area that doesn't have a lot of leverage or not a lot of room to work with, I'll move from these to the stubbies. I have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff here. Have some scissors. You never know when you're gonna need scissors, adjustable wrench, just like a pick, a file. This is, who makes this? OEM Tools. This is a pretty good tool. It's an oil filter ratchet. So you basically put on a 3/8 ratchet, and it's an oil filter socket. That's what it is. And so when you turn it counterclockwise, it'll expand, and then when you turn it clockwise, then it'll tighten up on the oil filter, and then that way it won't slip out of your hands. I have this. I've had this since, you know, that caliper right there is probably not calibrated correctly, but this is something I got from my first engineering class, so I kept that. And then I have driver adapters for 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2". And then I have these impact ready Posi-Drive drivers. So on this valley right here, I've put all my screwdrivers, Phillips and flathead. So for these Posi-Drive drivers, if you're working with anything Japanese, it's not a Phillips head, it's a Posi-Drive. And so these are the proper bits to use when you're using any of those. I mean, I heard that one of my comments, they said that even IKEA hardware, and I round it out all the time, but all the IKEA hardware also uses Posi-Drive bits. So I found that kind of interesting, but these are really good, especially for motorcycle stuff. It's a Japanese company called Vessel, and it's super, super high-end Japanese company. I didn't buy a lot of their things, but being that I'm working predominantly on my wife's Kawasaki 250 or my Nissan GTR, all the Phillips that I use the Posi-Drive. Yeah, so then all of this is mounted on these Lotusol tool mats, or tool holder tool mats. and they're absolutely phenomenal. You can see the strength with all that weight that's on there. It's holding all of that. And this was a big OCD relief for me, just because I can really feel that I'm maximizing on everything that I can in this area. Over here, I have a light, I have a punch, and then in these valleys, I didn't drill out any of the holes any bigger than they needed to be, just because I'm using only screwdrivers on this side. But what I've done is I've installed grommets on the inside of these, and I've seen that in the field. You know, when we're drilling, when the maintenance people are drilling holes through some frames or anything like that, and me predominantly, I worked with chemicals, so we would make sure that there's grommets around the holes that were drilled out, so that it wouldn't cut any of the chemical lines, air lines, anything like that, water lines. So the grommets are a big plus in here. You won't get the screwdrivers clanking around. So, and then I also just have a magnetic bit holder. Basically, I like this in this bay just because if you're working on something, you're typically going through a couple different bits. So I like to keep that there, especially like my GTR, there's T30 and a T45, I think, for Torx bits that I have to keep going back and forth from. So this, you know, having this bay empty and cleaned out is extremely helpful. So, and then I just have on this side, and so underneath this tray, I just have a couple pry bars, just they're different in length. And then I have all my 3/8 and 1/4 inch extensions and wobbles, and I have that zip tied to a socket holder that I had. It's locking, so when I'm moving it around, it's not gonna come off, but if I turn it counterclockwise, it'll come right off. And you just put it right back in there, and it pops off. And I'll kind of go more detail into those socket organizers. Really helpful. So, oh, and then on this side, I also installed a magnet so that if anybody has had this drawer, they know that it kind of flops around. So that bothers me. That bothers my OCD. So when I'm rolling it around, it's nice that, you know, both the top part and the support kind of clamps down nicely and neatly on that side, so that's not flopping around. So let's go hop into the drawers. So I do have the 4-drawer tool cart. There is a 5-drawer, but I decided not to get that one. I thought that one was kind of overkill, but nonetheless, obviously labeled everything. So this is kind of my miscellaneous drawer. I have all my markers, some razor blades. This is also where I keep my torque wrenches for my 3/8 and my 1/4 inch. Calculators, tire gauge, OBD2 reader here, notebook, a couple, you know, smaller pry bars. These are really nice. These will pop, you know, body panel caps, and then just some more, you know, unique pries. Flashlight, always need a flashlight. This is an extendable one that I like that has a magnet on the flashlight end. So if I drop a bolt or anything like that, I use this to light it up and then pick up that bolt. Terminal holder, terminal cleaner for your battery. Flat edge. Yeah, this drawer is very miscellaneous and very random, but as long as I know where that stuff is. In this drawer, this is where I keep all my driver accessories. So anything that goes into a driver mainly will be in here. I have a couple of these drill drivers from DeWalt. Everything else really I have is Milwaukee when it comes to like power tools. I found them to be very efficient, very powerful. So I got some step-up bits for drilling stuff out, especially in this drawer. Those you'll definitely need. They wore out. This is a decent grade steel. Oh, and then this, so I took off the Harbor Freight, and when you remove it, there ends up being a hole, and that bothered me, so I just found a cap, and JB welded that to that part, so there's no hole in there, so it looks clean. Anyways, so then I have some deburring bits for grounding out any metal, which you'll also need for this to kind of file it out with a power tool. Those are really helpful. You know, the regular miscellaneous bits that everyone gets. This is, I found, for me, was a good place to keep that. I also keep all these little mini picks. These are really helpful. They come in different assortment. I think Harbor Freight makes one, OEM Tools on Amazon. Anyways, I'll put the link in the description for that one. I have the Speed Out set. Again, a lot of people have told me these are really good. In the last year, I haven't found a need to use these. Apologize. Golly. Anyways, so this is what the Speed Out is. You're essentially drilling out your screw, and then on the other side it extracts it out. So for any bolts or any screws that are damaged, if you round them out or anything like that, these are supposed to help you. And then I have a drill handle for a lot of these extended Allen bits. 90-degree drill bit for an impact driver. This is really nice if you're trying to drill in somewhere where you don't have a lot of room to fit a full drill, so you can attach your drill or your impact driver to this end, and then you can put a drill bit in here, and then you can drill down. I got this for a project on my GTR, and I haven't quite used it yet, but this winter I'm hoping to get that figured out. This Ryobi set is by far my very favorite all-in-one kit. If you're putting furniture together, if you're doing anything inside the house, it's really nice. It's very helpful. It's a very complete set. I mean, this and my drill driver will get most of the projects in the house done. So I'll link this. I'll link something close to it. It's really nice. It has, some sockets up here, some standard sockets up here, and then they have some adapters, some Allen drivers, some adapters if you're using sockets for 1/4 inch, 3/8 and half. And then these are all just miscellaneous, like Torx, some Phillips, some flatheads, some extended, and then some short ones as well. So very nice all-in-one kit. Oh, my hands are freezing. I apologize. Moving on to this drawer. So this drawer is where I keep all my pliers. I keep my my normal size wrenches in here. So I have a gravity hammer. I forget what it's called, but it's the one it's like a soft mallet. So when you strike it, it has some momentum, but it won't break something. So it's made of hardened plastic, I think some kind of polyester or something, or polypropylene, I mean. Have a little mini hammer that's come in hand. These pliers, these are the Torque Lock Milwaukee's. These are by far my favorite pliers that I've ever used. The grip is phenomenal. The teeth don't dull out over time. The clamping strength is incredible. I've broken bolts with this trying to take it out. These are by far the best bang for your buck. They're not that expensive either. You get them at your local hardware store or the link in the description. It comes in that size. There's also like a mid size, and then there's this miniature kind of needle nose size. All are very helpful, really good strength. I got these These are some vice grips that I got when I think I was in college or something. I had to, no, this is when I was in the field. I got this because I had to replace a chemical line. Anyways, so I use that occasionally here and there. I use these are punches. It has a metal backing so that you can strike it with a hammer and it won't ruin the punch itself. I use these predominantly when I'm changing my brake pads on my GTR. There's a punch that I have to get out in order to release the brake pad. I am missing a couple pliers in here. I think they're probably in my Milwaukee bag. But yeah, I got some, these three right here are your bigger dike cutter, needle nose, and a needle nose with an angle, like a 30-degree angle, 45-degree angle. And then this is a push pop. It's helpful because it'll get under, if you have like clips, you can rest it or you can sneak it in on this side, and then this is kind of, it pops the body clip out. So that is helpful. Sometimes a little too specific. Sometimes I haven't really had that much luck with it on my GTR at least. And then moving on to these, I just got a bunch of different size hose pliers. So these obviously are helpful for taking out hoses in your engine bay or in any case, but there's a bunch of different sizes. And I found those very helpful actually, especially for like fuel lines or something that, you know, of that sort that won't come out. This is another clip popper. And then I got a couple other needle nose pliers. This is by far my favorite wire cutter to date. It's made by Milwaukee. I try not to be a fanboy of one particular company, but honestly, everything that Milwaukee has made, hats off to you guys. You guys have done an absolute phenomenal job. All right, so for my favorite drawer that I'm really proud of is my socket drawer. What I found in the past, or with using other socket holders, is that putting it in the tray, I wouldn't be able to close the lid with all these tools that I have magnetized or held by magnets on the underside of my tool lid. So I found this way. I've tried a ton of different socket holders, but this made the most sense. This is my socket drawer. Very proud of this. So these socket holders or organizers is made by a company called Ernst. And what I like about these is that they're in trays, right? So these are all my 1/2-inch swivels. Put those over there for now. But what I've been able to do is I have a complete set of 1/2-inch, 3/8, quarter, and then a lot of miscellaneous sockets, some adapters. For the exact measurements for the Ernst tool organizers, I've put everything in the description. However, what I found to fit perfectly in this tool cart, the Harbor Freight tool cart, is I got 3 trays in total. So I got 2 of the 3 rows and then 1 of the double row. And so what I've done is I've have everything 1/2-inch in here. Goes all the way from, what do I have, 14. So everything is metric. Everything in my tool cart is metric. I don't use any standard stuff. I have standard stuff in my other tool drawer, in my bigger box, but I only go to that big box maybe 10% of the time. My goal with this tool cart was to use 90% of the stuff that I'm working on is gonna be in this tool cart. And then the bigger tool cart behind it is mainly for storage, stuff like that. So anyway, so I have everything from 14 to 32 on here. So if you're buying sockets or anything like that, a lot of these, yeah, I'm not gonna use. That's why I got, like, some of them will be like 12 point. A lot of 1/2-inch, you really do want it to be a 6-point socket so that it doesn't round off the bolt that you're trying to take off. So I have my deep and my shorts up here for my 1/2-inch. This middle section is all 3/8 stuff. So I know that that is everything for 3/8. And then this tray is predominantly 1/4 inch. So for my 3/8, I have my deeps and my shallows. I have some swivels. I have, what else did I have? Oh, and then I have my pass-through sockets here. If you've ever used pass-through sockets, they're essentially, I've only used it once, and I've used it on my suspension on my GTR, where you had to get the cable through the socket in order to get a full turn on the wrench while holding an Allen in there. It was kind of funny, but that is a thing. So that's why I have the pass-through sockets. Yeah, so 1/4 inch deep, 1/4 inch shallows. I have some of these, which are, I forget what they're called, but if you have a rounded off bolt, basically you take this, you hammer it on, and then these teeth that are inside of it will dig into the bolt and pop it right off. And then, I don't know if you can see this final row, but to that point, the nice thing about these tool rails is that you can pop a rail out if you wanted to go work on something. So alongside having it in kind of separated trays, you can also pop out a full rail itself. And then you can, like this, you could, oh, my hands are freezing. Yeah, I can't right now. But for the purpose of this video, that is something to note, and that is something that I really liked about these Ernst tool rail organizers. So I have my Torx, I have some e-Torx, and then I have adapters on the closest row. And then I do have these 1/2 inch swivels from Harbor Freight, and I kind of just keep them in here. So I know that's in there. And then I have this in Kaizen foam. I've organized my ratchets in Kaizen foam. I found this to be elegant looking, but also very, very efficient. If you've done any research on Kaizen, it's a productivity method. So that's something I learned and kind of adapted into my tool cart. So I have all my 3/8 and my 1/4 ratchets, and then also my pass-through ratchet. Very similar to my 1/2 inch, I have a Harbor Freight 1/2 inch. This is nice for, being that it's longer, has a really good leverage. And then I have a swivel head 3/8. This is nice if you're, trying to just zip stuff on and off. I have this 30-degree 3/8 Craftsman with a swivel or adjustable head. This is a really, really nice. I found it to really enjoy this, mainly for a lot of the stuff that I work on. And then, yeah, for 1/4 inch, I have, again, Harbor Freight. I have one that I got when I was in high school working on cars by a company called Clutch. And then this is part of a lot of these Craftsman ones are part of their newer lines. This is the part number for it. And I mean, this is the 84 tooth ratchet, and I found that to be, I really enjoy it. I had a warranty replacement, and they didn't have the old one that I had anymore, so they replaced it with that one. And that's pretty much it. On the bottom, I'll show you. Oh yeah. So on the bottom, I just keep my jack stands. I had the Harbor Freight ones, but then they had a recall, so I returned that one. Just some generic jack stands. Really was looking into height, more or less. So keep my jack stands down here. I'm able to fit 5 of them. I have a gasket maker gun down here. This is just like a tool mat to put over your fender so you don't scratch it. And then a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff in here. I got some funnels, PV blaster, some brushes, some body panel removers, or those clip removers. Yeah, and like lube and some cleaner and some caliper hangers and stuff like that underneath. All right, guys, so thanks again for watching the video. If you did take any value of this, please let me know in the comments. Go ahead and share, like, do all that sort of thing. And if you like GTR content, or I might do some stuff for my wife's bike, subscribe. With that being said, see you guys on the next video. Take care.